For a change.
Josh, you printed those?
A while ago.
Oh, that because it's morning.
Folks, according to my watch, I have 4 o'clock. It's time to start the meeting. We can just bow our heads for a moment of silence before we start. Amen. Welcome to our budget work session. Commissioners, you've seen the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Whitmer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Alexander. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Who's going to present it? Angie, you're up.
First of all, how's Savannah?
I think she's doing pretty good. Savannah's out sick, so she won't be here today. She's on Zoom. So if everyone wants to give her a wave.
Savannah, how are you?
She's out there. So Rachel here has been working hard all day on the presentation for me. So I wanted to give her a big thanks. She worked hard on the budget along with Barry and Dave and Savannah. So they get the credit. I'm just here telling you what's what. So we printed out a copy of the PowerPoint so you won't have to strain to see it on the screen. And Josh, I'm ready whenever you are.
We're ready.
This is the 24-25 proposed budget presentation as prepared by town staff. We feel that this is a thorough but conservative budget. Next screen, please. This is a comparison of the 23-24 budget. See the general fund, there's a 14.21% increase. And we'll go into a little bit more specifics in following screens. The water fund, there's a 5.98% increase for a total of 12.86% over last year. Next screen.
That's revenues.
Yes, revenues. No. This screen talks about each department. We compared it to 23-24. So you can see governing body is up slightly, 7.92%. Administration is down 4.55%. Public buildings, 7.14% increase. Police down slightly at 3.84%. Planning and zoning, 11.49% increase. Public works, 21.37%. Streets, 67.57% increase. And again, we'll get into what that is here in just a minute. Sanitation, 7.75%. Recreation, 4.34%. And then water, 5.98%.
I've got a question.
Okay.
Or something I'll point out that was an anomaly, and I'm going to probably ask a bunch of stupid questions, but that's okay.
Well, no question stupid, Mason.
There are 3 categories here, police, planning and zoning, and sanitation, where the listing you've got here in the budget talks about the first column is last fiscal year, current fiscal year. But when I compare that to the detail for those departments that you sent in the material, for those 3, it's different. So for the police department, on this summary sheet, it lists expenses last year of 494, 744, or a budget, last year's budget. I assume we don't know the actuals. But yet, when I go to the detail, it shows 439, 974. If I go to this sheet here, right here, if I go right there, it's 439. It's totally different. The same thing is true with planning and zoning. If I go to this sheet here, it says 102,400. Yet on this sheet, it says 91,400. So somewhere we got a glitch.
It's probably because I changed that column from 21, 22 to 23, 24. So those are incorrect. Previous,
Okay,
yeah.
so we got to clean that up. And the third column, I was of sanitation, there was a difference there. Okay. No problem.
Okay, next screen, Josh. So under governing body, we're anticipating an increase in audit costs. There was an increase in the School of Government membership fees. They went up about $100. Increase in North Carolina League of Municipalities membership fees. Those are based on population, so they actually tell us what to pay. And that went up 4% to $1,907. Kiwanis membership is $250, and the Chamber of Commerce membership is $250. So all those memberships, donations are paid under governing body. Next screen, Josh. Administration is going down 4.55%. The implementation of our new financial software is complete with Tyler Technologies. So we're going to see a reduction in funds because we're no longer providing for two financial systems. I believe as of June 1st, we'll be done with Harris completely. Next screen, Josh.
And all those transitions are going well?
Well, I mean, well's a little strong for me. I'm kind of stuck on the old system, but we're doing it.
I just want to make a general comment on the expenses for each category, particularly when we get to personnel expenses. There seems to be no indirect charge against the water department for personnel and related expenses. There never has been, so I'm not blaming it. I'm just saying I think they're audible. In other words, when we look at the administration and the amount of time that you, Rachel, you, Angie, each of you spend a significant amount of time, your personal time, your work time that we pay for as part of your salary, as part of the administration, working for the water department. Okay, that's not charged back here. There's a charge back in operating expenses. There's no charge back in personnel expenses, and there should be. If we're not charging that back,
Oh, I get what you're
we're
saying.
not charging that back. Here's what's happening. The taxpayers are subsidizing the water users. That wouldn't matter if all the taxpayers and all the water users were the same. They're not. So if we just take, you know, I don't know what our total salaries are, but if we just take 10% of those, you know, that's probably what, $40,000 or $60,000, probably $80,000. $80,000, 10% of that should be charged to the water fund.
So,
It's not only cheating the taxpayers, but it's a management tool. We don't know whether we're making money or losing money if we don't have all our real expenses being charged.
so it is in each individual,
Operating expense.
but see
It's
that
in the general fund, it's not
it's-
underwater.
it is underwater.
There's the amortization of the salaries?
So how it has been figured is taking the total budget prior to anything is taken out. You take that total, and then you multiply it by that percentage that you're deciding that the water department needs to pay, and then that amount is entered in the,
Is operating expense charged back.
right, but it
not as
includes,
personnel.
but it includes this, the salary total.
So your operating expense includes salaries, your salary, Angie's salary?
Yes. So it takes like the total of this budget. If you take out that third, well, so let's look at governing body. If you take out the $3,766,
Yeah,
it doesn't have a number on the line, but if you take that out, the total of that, so it's like the 50, 58, whatever it adds up to be, total of 58.
0.58%.
So it's actually at 4.75%. That's what it's calculated at.
Okay. I don't think that's enough. I can't imagine that we need to, I think we need to look at that.
Okay.
If they're not, and we need to take a look, not just salaries, but the FICA and health insurance and retirement, everything that goes along with it.
It does take that total. It takes the total of all of those in there, and then the total of that budget. So for governing body, the total would have been 58,000 something. So a certain percentage of that total, I think I have a whole breakdown, but it's like
.69%.
it might be, because it's,
That's what I figured, that.
But if you go to page 14 of the budget, not this packet, but page 14 of the budget that Angie sent out yesterday, which is the detail of water expenses and personnel expenses, where is that charge back?
it's under indirect cost allocation. It's
I gotcha.
$75,323 total.
So it looks like Jared and Debbie are fully charged against water,
Yes,
and then some portion of everybody else.
right.
This is the first time we've done that, isn't it?
No,
No?
They did move Debbie over, which was important.
right.
Because almost all of her time is spent on water, so that was a
Yes.
very good move. I just still think if you've got everybody else in that 75,000, and that includes what they should be, the water also should be charged for the building, this building and its space, I just think we need to look at it, because I don't think we're charging enough indirects to water.
I understand.
That-
So I changed the percentage according to where the water department doesn't lose money.
But
So,
the water
Yeah.
project, no, but we have no future capital expenses in this budget. So the water money is losing money, right, by definition. We're not amortizing, if we're not putting aside money for the future now in our current revenues, through our current revenues, we're losing money, in my opinion. I may be wrong, but we have to be paying for the future with the monies we bring in today from our water customers. Or otherwise, we're going to be 20 years down the line and have a bill nobody can pay. That's just the way I'm looking at it.
yeah, and I can we can look at that spreadsheet and I can show you, and then you can let me know what we need to do
Can you
differently.
can you email us that breakdown?
Yeah, I can go do it.
Well, you don't need to do it now. We need to
I
look
thought you
at it
said-
before we adopt the final budget.
Yeah,
But if you'll email us that now, and you and Savannah and, and whoever, if y'all will look at that
yeah,
and see if y'all have a different recommendation than what's currently there, because like Mason says, we do need to start building money. That's one reason we changed some water rates,
right,
so forth, is to try to put something in there for the future to be able to take care of the utilities.
for sure.
Okay, thank you.
The next category is public buildings. There's an increase in property and liability insurance. We get that insurance from the League of Municipalities. So that was across the entire state. There was an increase in that coverage. Next screen, Josh. The police department, as I said, it went down 3.84%. There were no vehicle purchases slated for fiscal year 24, 25.
Can I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
In the police department, we had, in most of the departments, we had increases of various significant amounts, and many quite significant, some. No increase in group health coverage in the police department. Is that just a, like it was exactly the same number? It just looks like some number may have gotten dropped, just looking at the detail. In other words, actually it was down. It said the board approved last year was 58.2. 58.2,
And it went down to
and recommended
54.
this year's 54,660 or 600.
That's because the new insurance is actually based on ages and,
Okay, so
and,
this is a,
and family coverage.
okay,
So there's only one currently that has children
got
in
it.
the police department right now.
Thanks, thank you.
Yep.
This budget also reflects a salary increase in the police department. I think it's the initial starting salary for our police officers. It's going to 45,000 from 41 roughly. Next screen, Josh. Our planning and zoning department has an increase of, again, of 11.49%. That's for an increase in the zoning administrator's contract. It's now going to be approximately $77,400. And we pay that to Land of Sky for Kayla's salary. Also, there's going to be an increase in building inspector fees. This year, we paid Dan $25 a permit issue and a permit inspection. He's asked for $40 this coming year. He does a lot of consultations that he wasn't necessarily sure he was going to do, but he does spend a lot more time up here than what he was spending, because there's a lot of new houses being built, that kind of thing.
And that's a zero net, though, is it not? Thanks. That's a zero net because we're charging that back to the permittee.
Right.
Can I also suggest that we look at an increase in the zoning application fee? It's a pittance.
Yeah.
And we couldn't possibly cover our costs, but and I think it was $25 or $35.
It's $35.
You know, I'm in Florida, you pay $250 to do anything.
Really? Okay.
How long ago did we raise that fee? Do you remember?
It's been $35 since I've been with the town.
Oh, Lord, you've been here how many years?
Well, I mean, 8, but
Okay,
who's counting? So it probably does need to be raised. I agree with you on that.
okay. Y'all talk to Savannah and let's see about doing something with that.
I think Rachel's telling me that she did have that one increasing on the fee schedule. So we'll look and see what she had. And
Okay.
so next screen, Josh. Public Works, they're going to have an increase in stormwater program fees. So I think those are paid through the Land of Sky, Mary Roderick. So she's increasing her fees. And then it looks like Mary wants to purchase a snowplow. Any thoughts on that, Barry? Are you good there? Okay. Any questions for Barry?
That was a priority with the Comprehensive Planning Committee too,
It was.
for us to look at stormwater and
Yeah.
make sure that we were on track and doing everything we needed to do there.
The only question I have is more of a technical question, and that is why, if that is over $500 and would be written off over a period of years, why isn't that in the capital budget instead of in the expense budget? Barry, how much is that snowplow?
That plow's estimated to be $4,500 to upfit the Ranger that we currently have in the fleet.
So it probably should be in the capital budget.
I've always figured the capital outlay was 5,000 and above is why I kept it in.
I don't know, is that, it is 5,000?
Yeah.
That's
Never mind.
okay.
Stricken. Next screen, Josh. Streets Department, we need to have some bucket truck tires and repairs. Apparently, our bucket truck is getting up in age, and we need to do a little work on it. Also, we are looking into a leaf removal service that somebody else will have to tell you something about, because I'm drawing a blank right now. I think we're talking about contracting with someone that would come up here.
Barry had said we were contracting with someone from Black Mountain or someone from the area.
Yes.
And Barry has cut the town up into zones that the person will work on certain days of the week.
Yes, sir. I've reached out to a contractor, a local contractor that's got a vacuum truck and a place to actually dispose of the material once picked up. We're going to break it into zones like we used to do the old meter routes, and I'm going to let the contractor, set his schedule, set his own pace. That way he can't come back to us and say, well, you set something that I can't hold to. So that'll be something that once we get a pretty solid nod, I'm going to have him start really pushing forward to get us a schedule and a good set of guidelines for us to put out there for the folks to.
That's what I was going to ask. Is he going to give us a schedule? Because we need to be able to pass that on to the residents,
Yeah,
that this area is on Tuesday and this one on
And I'd
Wednesday.
still like to offer the service, if they miss his, I'm sure he's not going to want to come back. Because, he's got other places to go to also, is we could still offer our bag leaf pickup. We're going to have a dumpster to haul off debris, leaf debris anyhow and brush. So, we could still offer that service. We just got told later this week from where we take some of our brush when we have a large amount that we can't really get to chip, we'll take it over here to Norfolk and dump at a licensed dump. Well, the state come through and actually told him he couldn't dump any more brush there. So now we're having to put everything in an open top dumpster now.
Gary, I'm trying to picture how the leaf works. I mean, you blow it to the street, and then how long before somebody might pick it up?
Well, I'm hoping with his schedule, we can put it out kind of like our sanitation schedule or something and say, if he's coming by this week, put your leaves out. And, we want to keep everything as tight as we can to where the leaves don't lay, they don't get wet, and of course, they don't plug up our stormwater system. That's my main concern.
They do this in Winston-Salem, and the leaves are all in the street. You have to, drive around them.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can keep, like I say, the timing pretty tight to where he can get through. And he may have to run 2 trucks. And, I've actually mentioned that to him, so he may have to run 2 vacuum trucks to keep up with our demand.
I'm just thinking about my own house. There would be no place for me to stack leaves in waiting. I don't know if anybody else is like that.
It's gonna be tough.
I have another question. People who live downslope and places like that, I don't know how they're going to blow their leaves or without a lot of effort, or whether So, I mean, I think it's going to be challenging when it starts.
And this might be, you know, where the bag leaf program, you know, if you can't, you know, if it's kind of hard for them to get it to where they can vacuum it, we can still, you know, we don't have a limit on the amount of leaves that we pick up at a stop, so, you know, we'll just, you know, be able to stick with that with a few of our residents, I'm sure.
Any other questions on the leaf service? Thank you, Barry. I wouldn't go far.
The leaf removal service is projected at $40,000. The next item is the sidewalk project, which I believe is connecting here at Rainbow Terrace all the way to the dam.
Yes, ma'am, it's two sections, one from right here at Rainbow to the right where the columbarium. And the other one runs from Lookout to the dam. Part of this work we could actually do throughout the summer, some of the culvert extensions, some of the wall building. And then later, the actual sidewalk and stuff would actually have to go in after our busy season, early fall. That's what we would do on some of that.
That project is budgeted at $61,000.
Okay. Any other questions of Barry on that?
The next item is the Texas Road Pedestrian Bridge Project. It's budgeted at $263,644. This particular budget appropriates $240,000 from fund balance for the Texas Road Bridge Project. Any questions that I may or may cannot answer?
We had talked at one time about spreading it over 3 years with a loan to cover it. Was that decided not to do that?
Savannah told me to put it in as if it was appropriated.
I'm going to have a hard time voting for that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think there are lots of options, and we just need to
That bridge
look at
is
them.
not an emergency.
At least we know what's in it. And you said it's 250,000?
Appropriated? 240. Would you like numbers for the loan?
Well, yeah, she had it with, I forget which bank, but they were willing to loan us the money to do it over a 3-year period pay it back over a 3-year period.
Okay,
And I would just soon look at that rather than touch fund balance.
okay. I'll make sure she's aware of that.
And one of the things that we also talked about was not appropriating the full 240, but borrowing maybe half of it.
Yeah.
And appropriating 120. And I don't remember us coming up with a figure of 263,644.
So that was just what was left in that line item. So I put it all towards the bridge because I was told that it could be anywhere from 250 to 275, and so.
You're right.
Okay. Sanitation calendars.
Okay. The next is the sanitation department. Barry wants to make some convenience center upgrades for safety, both from animals and from people. I think he's looking at brighter lights, better cameras, some fencing. Did I get everything? Yes, ma'am. So those increases are not on my sheet. What do you have, Barry? $21,000, I'm sorry. So that's convenience center upgrades.
And again, that includes fencing,
Fencing, cameras, and then brighter lighting, better lighting.
Barry, could you explain to us how that's going to keep people from Black Mountain and the surrounding area from using that area?
Well, it's just going to be part of a system, I believe. We're going to be able, to actually run it hourly. We're going to have to run it from 7 to 7 or something like that, or from, depending on the time of the year, we may have to fluctuate that time one way or the other. And we're just going to have to, hopefully lean on, different staff and also hopefully some volunteers maybe to check some IDs and kind of slow people down a little bit, because we've still got dumping. Remember who I was telling last week, we've got people dumping at 1 o'clock in the morning.
And the gates would close, and we'd have police service that would probably be monitoring that.
Be monitoring that along with, different staff and maybe somebody that wants to sit down and take a break for a little while and check a few IDs or something. But yeah, and then we're looking at putting 4 to 5 different cameras over our video cameras that we can actually monitor the safety of everything and keep up with what's going on over there.
And would you be able to check license plates?
No, sir.
Is it, why?
You'll have to ask the chief about the license plate over there. I don't think I'm allowed to run license plates or anything.
Not for trespassing and dumping illegally? I mean, if they're dumping in our dump, that's illegal, as long as it's
You're
posted.
trespassing.
Yes, and we're going to talk about trespassing or illegal dumping.
Well, that's what it is, Dave.
Yes, sir.
It's not a speeding ticket to dump trash in our bins. And that's what my understanding is the law regulates, or it's got to be calibrated for speeding tickets or for traffic lights or anything else. But if you surely photographic evidence for somebody trespassing is appropriate.
Once the act is committed, yes. If we want to sit there and run every plate that's coming through that we believe their intention is going to be illegal dumping,
Dave, if we've got a film of someone taking something out of their car and putting it in,
yes, that's an act that's occurred. We can run that, absolutely.
that's what we're talking about.
Okay, I thought y'all were talking about a preemptive.
No, no,
You
you
know,
can't do anything preemptive, we know that.
The past occurrence, yes, absolutely. I believe that can be articulated, and that would not be a misuse of the system.
If he's got video cameras shooting down Rainbow Road there, you see somebody coming up from the west, pulling in, and you see him going back out the west, turning west, and not from Montreat, that would be where I'd start, looking at the first license plates.
For a camera.
Do you follow what I'm saying? Somebody drives up and you've got a video camera pointed to their truck or vehicle, and they turn in, and 5 minutes later, you see them on the video leaving and turning left. I would check their license plate.
Wouldn't the camera pick up, if they were picking up from Rainbow, that it'd pick up that, but there's also a camera that could
On the bridge, for
actually,
example.
that could actually see them put something in the dump. That's where you'd get your
But
power.
you've got that now, don't you?
Yes, sir. I don't have anything coming down Rainbow, but I do have everything around the actual building site.
When you look at video, Barry, are you able to recognize a lot of people?
With the cameras I have right now, yes, ma'am. Sometimes on occasion, they're just low quality trail cameras.
I believe that having a time like 7 to 7, or however it works with the seasons, would be really helpful.
What do we do if somebody is caught illegal dumping? Do they pay a fine? Do they go to jail? What do they do?
You can post it, X number of dollars for fines for illegal dumping, and go through with it.
There's 2 penalties. There's a criminal penalty, it's a third-degree misdemeanor. First offense, I believe, is $250, and then there's a civil penalty. First offense is, I think, $50 or $100. Second offense is twice that. And third offense, and those are collected without having to go to court, without having to go to criminal court. And we just simply, we've gone through the drill. We know how to issue a citation for a civil offense. And it's a fairly easy thing to do. By the way, have we issued a civil offense citation for the gentleman who let his dogs loose again?
Again, as in there's been an occurrence since the.
Again, as in a month ago, as opposed to a year ago. In other words, that gentleman that came in here and let his dogs loose and scared the hell out of one of our residents. And we know who he is, have we issued him a citation?
No, sir.
I want to know why.
According to the ordinance that you yourself crafted, sir,
Yeah.
that does appear in a tiered system of verbal warning.
No, it does not. There's no verbal warning for letting your dog out of a car, period.
There was no indication that he let his dog out of the
How in the
vehicle
world did, there is an inference that he let his dogs, I'm not satisfied. In fact, I'm more than dissatisfied. And I guarantee you, if I don't see a citation issued to him, let him raise the defense. Then I think we are in trouble here.
Sir, I will craft a.
Because I'm not going to have hunting dogs running around this town and you not chasing after the SOBs that are doing it.
I understand completely, sir.
So I'm going
Next,
to
Angie.
go a little out of order. The next category I'm going to do is sanitation calendars. Those are the calendars that I send out, I think, in December. So the paper continues to go up at the UPS store, and the cost of postage continues to go up. And then if I have to include the new leaf removal service, it may change the size of the calendar. I'm not sure. So we put in a little extra money for those factors. The next thing on sanitation.
And, you know, one of the things that we talked about too was the possibility of just publishing it online.
Right.
And letting people print it off themselves.
And I like that idea a lot better because it costs a lot of money to send those cards, and then I get a lot back, like, you know, bad addresses, or the conference center will get like 50 of them, and they don't really need any of them. The next category is continued increases in rental and dumping fees. And I think if you turn to the next page, next screen, Josh, Rachel has crafted a little chart here that shows over the past 5 years how the costs have gone up with consolidated waste. So we pay First Inc. up at Ridgecrest to help Drew on trash days. They ride the back of the truck. And, you know, there was an increase from $12, I think, to $14. That was last year for their labor. The tipping fees at Buncombe County Landfill continue to go up. And the dumpster fees, I almost think they've been changing every other month. It just,
Yeah,
prices are raising.
Contracted dumping fees are killing us, and that's
Yeah.
part of the controls that are needed on the convenience center.
Right. This morning, Rachel heard somebody dump what sounded like a bulldozer in the bottom of the dumpster. It was a horrible sound, but the trees have grown up so bad because of the leaves that we couldn't see who was up there. I don't know if Barry got it on camera, but it was a horrible sound. I don't know what he dumped. Check it out. It's pretty heavy, yep. So the next screen, Josh, is the water department. So the first item are meter purchases. Jared has been very busy the past 2 weeks. He's replaced, I want to say, almost 100 meters in town with new meters that will read better, more accurate, will be better judge of how much water is actually being used. So the money put aside for this meter project, I think, will take care of getting all the meters changed in town. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, this should get us really close. It's going to get 200 meters.
Okay.
And also, we learned Wednesday from our rep that they're going to actually go back 15 years instead of 10 on our meters. All of ours are 10 years, a little over, 14 years old. So we're just inside that window to where our old meters that we've got stacked out over there with the small pro rate that they're gonna give us is gonna probably push us right there to having everything replaced. You know, so,
So you're saying of the 680 meters, nearly all will be replaced within the
all the
last?
registers and antennas, yes, sir, will be replaced.
Wow.
We're gonna be, I mean, if it's gonna be really close, within 10 or 15 if we're not.
Yeah.
So getting that news Wednesday was really good news that they're actually gonna, back up to 15 years instead of 10. So,
And that'll really improve our accuracy as well.
yes, sir, with the new antennas
billing
and
accuracy.
everything, that opens up, the world of meteorology for whoever later on down the road for all sorts of different systems to be able to be done.
And are the new meters or is the new software working with the meter reading program well?
Tons better than the old
Okay.
system.
Because I know we had a big glitch with that for a while. Okay.
Barry,
Barry-
real quick, and this is back on, and I apologize for this, this is back on sanitation. We got down $2,200 for sanitation calendars?
That's what I was taught. Those are the calendars that I get made at UPS store,
Okay.
and the postage, the paper, the print, everything.
The magnets on the back?
No.
No.
No,
No.
that's just the
No.
paper-heavy postcard that people put on their refrigerators. That's the one that Tom said that he and I talked about posting it just online and letting people print it off themselves at home.
We could have a few available, but we could put in there by request, come by.
Right.
I think that would be a good idea.
Angie, I hate to ask you this, but have you tried to source it differently than UPS?
I've looked at a place in Asheville, and actually it was very similar. But if somebody knows some good printing companies, I can.
Well, yeah, we could bid it out. And the other thing that we could always do is print them and just tell people to stop by and pick them up, and save postage,
True.
because they are oversized. It's an oversized postcard. You're paying a premium to mail.
Yeah.
Barry, I was going to ask if you don't have pressure valves on any of the lines going into homes, do you?
We're not responsible for that, the homeowner is. No, ma'am. All we have is a check valve that's in the meter setter, and that's all we have.
Okay. Because I just found out my pressure was like double what it's supposed to be. I've been very lucky that it didn't.
Some of our
Blow.
pressures up here ranging from 120 to 260 PSI. So
Should we alert people about having their pressure checked?
it wouldn't hurt to, have them, just check it at an outside spigot with a little gauge it screws on. You can get them at Home Depot or Lowe's,
Yeah,
anything like that, just to see.
maybe it could go in a Montreat minute.
Rach, I'm interested in your statement where you said that if you hadn't shifted something in the water department expenses, we would have lost money. Did I misunderstand?
Yeah, it was the percentage that I actually have. I'm not
For
necessarily
allocation?
saying we would have lost money, but it would have dwindled it way down. So I tried to do that percentage, the total percentage, as in how we need it and how it will,
I'm with you.
how it'll flow with the revenues with the water department.
The final thing in water is that Debbie, who is our utility billing clerk, her entire salary will be shifted to the water department. Our old payroll software didn't have the capacity to split like half me, half Rachel, but the new payroll, you can divide up the payroll, so. Savannah reminded me remotely that I forgot to talk about police dispatch. So last year, We paid around $12,000 to Buncombe County for our police dispatch services. And this year, we got notification from the county manager that we wouldn't have to pay those charges this year. So that's a charge we're not gonna have, which is a good thing. It was roughly $12,000. A couple things that are highlights, no change in property valuation.
Yeah, is there no change this year? No.
This particular budget also is instituting a $15 per month sanitation fee to all customers that utilize sanitation services. The pension rates increased, both the pension rates increased for both general employees and law enforcement. General employees is 13.6%. Law enforcement is 15.1% up.
Angie, are you saying that we're increasing putting $15 on everybody's bill?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought we were going to discuss that.
That's what the budget has, so we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's going to hit hard.
This particular budget also includes a 3% cost of living adjustment, which is $21,762.59 more per year. And then up to a total of 3% merit increase. So in the packet that I sent out yesterday, the entire 3% is budgeted for a total of $19,148.24, but not necessarily every employee will get 3%.
Related to employee, it's not direct compensation, but this budget also includes family coverage now for the insurance.
You read my mind, Mason. I was going to talk about that next. Okay. Next screen, Josh. Can you go to the last one for me? I got a little excited about increases and skipped ahead.
Before you go there, the pension, I'm sorry, the COLA and the merit,
The
were
COLA,
a total of.
3%, so that would be
Right, got that.
21.
But the total, 19 something?
21,762.59 for COLA. Merit, 19,148.24.
Okay.
So these are the highlights up on the screen and on your sheet here, the last page. We talked about the merit, we talked about the COLA. We're looking at town-provided family insurance coverage. So that is an increase of $29,817.84 per year. Our current insurance is with the League of Municipalities, and when Alex was here, this is my example, when he was here, he wanted to add his wife and all his kids to the insurance, and it was gonna cost him almost $3,000 a month to add them collectively to the insurance. So he chose another option. So Rachel looked into options, I believe, with United Healthcare. And they have some good plans that will only increase the total from the town for $29,817.84. And again, that the employee will be 100% covered by the town, and then the rest will pay for the family. So that's $2,400 a month.
For the family, that the employee will pay?
That the town will pay.
What about the employee? What are they paying for it? Nothing? There's no copay?
Not to us.
Not,
Well, it would reduce our payment.
Yes.
If there was an employee copay.
Copay would be a shared thing. Most copays that people refer to is what you pay when you go to the doctor. A $40, $30, $20 copay. So you're saying the employees have no weekly or monthly share coming out of theirs to cover their family. But if there are co-pays with United Healthcare, that's what they pay at the doctor's office.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, and then if you'll back up 2 screens, Josh. So Rachel prepared a salary comparison from 23-24 on the left to 24-25 on the right. Do you have any questions about those? Feel free to ask Rachel.
This is salary and benefits,
It is.
and does that include 3% COLA, 3% merit, and an increase in family insurance coverage?
And then the next screen are some statistics. Rachel, you know, a finance person loves the statistics. So the proposed budget again is 12.86% higher than fiscal year 23-24. That includes funding the Texas Road Pedestrian Bridge, the addition of a leaf collection. The general fund budget is 14.21% higher than fiscal year 23-24. And then the water fund budget is 5.98% higher. And that, I believe, let me make sure Savannah has nothing else to share with us. Nope, she's good. That's all I have.
Okay. Kitty, you wanted to talk about that, the fee?
Yeah, I just think that's a lot to add all at once, because everything just went up not long ago. So I've heard complaints about the water bill being so expensive.
The fees, as I understand them, were pretty much to cover all the repairs and needed and so forth to the convenience center that a lot of people wanted, to be able to have a convenience center. And this is to offset those costs of having that convenience center, or to help offset the cost.
Just for mathematical, you're the one that should be throwing this out. But $15 a month times the 680 utility bills times 12 is income of $122,580. The convenience center was $21,000 at one-time cost. We're talking about a long term on this. So really, I think what Savannah's idea on this was to be able to pay for the leaf removal service at $40,000, plus have some extra money in the general funds budget for other things. But so that's the layout of it. It is $122,000 of extra
A
income.
lot of that was to be used too to offset those increasing tipping fees that we're paying, because that's what's eating us up.
Well, and you know, quite frankly, it also is we got almost $100,000 increase in salaries and wages. That's huge for us in 1 year.
Okay, I just think it would be good for us to communicate all of this so people will know why. But is it fair to add $15 to a water bill that's a water fountain at the baseball field? That's all it is a fountain, but it gets a special water extra.
Not added to the water bill, it's a sanitation fee. That's added to your water, it's on your water bill.
But
Right.
she's right.
Which, when you say 680,
The dormitory-
you're counting every,
The largest water user is the dormitory, the girls' dorm. And they'd get a $15 a month add-on, and so would the water fountain at Welchfield, because they're two different utility bills. So, I mean, you're right, but what are we going to do? Say, it's got to be here and higher, you get slapped and nobody else does?
But why would they get one, Tom? They don't get our sanitation services.
But I thought you said this would be put onto the utility bill.
For people that utilize our sanitation services. So like the mayor,
The garbage, I pay a garbage service every,
But see, the college, they have their own people that do sanitation, the conference center. So they won't get that charge. This is just for household customers only.
So
Because they don't currently, the college and the
Right,
conference center don't currently get the once a year charge that we're charging.
And they don't pay for garbage. They have their own garbage
They
collection.
have their own garbage. So the water
And
fountain,
leaf
yeah,
collection.
the water fountain doesn't get charged at Welchfield.
So our revenue projections will be off a little bit because it's more like 630 than it is 680.
But I will say something that we realized this week is that there are some people in town that have wells. Yeah, so they aren't getting a bill they use our sanitation services, but they haven't been getting billed for our sanitation because we didn't realize they had wells. Yes.
Well, see, I'm getting mixed up on how we're defining sanitation because I hear you defining sanitation as they get a water service, but I'm also hearing you say that they get trash pickup.
So, what,
Sanitary sewer is different.
so we're utilizing the water bill.
As a way to,
Capture the charge.
Sanitary sewer, right?
no, it's sanitation. It's a sanitation fee for trash. But a way to, instead of do a whole new bill just for sanitation fees, we can add it to their monthly water bill.
And
So-
when you, another word for sanitation, the way we're using it, is trash.
Yes.
Okay, because the way it says on the bill right now, it has a sanitation, I can't remember the exact language, but there's a water fee, and
It
then
says
there's the
solid waste, well, it says solid waste fee is what it says on the water bill. But you won't see that every month because it's only billed once a year right now.
In July.
So-
And that's $15 overall, is it not?
But what we realized this week is there's a few people in town that are not in my water system because they have their own wells. But Drew picks up their trash. Well, see, we're not capturing that $15 because they're not getting a water bill. So we're gonna have to,
To manually create.
yes. Which we did. We actually have started that process to capture it.
Okay, any more discussion? Any more questions or things pertaining to the budget?
So I have one more thing from Savannah. She wants you all to be looking out in your email for an email from her. She would like to poll the commission on a few things. And she says, Tom is correct. Tom, you're correct. Wow. Plus,
What else is?
I mean, I know. Plus, we offer amazing sanitation services, and the tipping fees are large. So that, all of that is why they're talking about the $15 per month trash fee. Is that a better word? Trash?
Okay,
That's all I
commissioners,
have.
anything else? Okay, floor is open for public comment.
Can I ask a question first? Are we going to have our own discussion as to where this budget goes and how we feel about it after the public comment, or? 'Cause it
Before
looks
we,
like it's
before we
adjournment.
conclude, but we need to have public comment, public input before we have those
I was
discussions.
just looking at the agenda,
Okay.
and it doesn't have anything after public comment except adjournment.
We're not going to. Get public comment.
Letta Jean Taylor, 386 Oklahoma Road. There are two things I'd like to speak to you about. One is staff compensation, and I'm really happy to see the 3% COLA and the 3% merit in the budget. And also the insurance, sorry.
Family insurance.
And I hope that you'll bring the employees that do not make the living wage of $22.10. I hope you bring them up to that. No, before you do the COLA and the. Okay. Last time, I think it was done after the COLA and all that, but anyway, I appreciate that because we have a well-trained staff. They work very hard for the town. And Barry did research and he saved you all a lot, saved us a lot of money by putting the seam sealer down Assembly Drive. Because that'll give you 5 or 6 more years before you have to spend the $1 million to pave that road. And then the work they did on Texas Road at the Wall really saved the town money because they did it in-house. We're very fortunate to have a staff that has so much responsibility and expertise that we can do so much in-house. I really appreciate that for them. And also, rain, snow, trees down, they don't happen at night or when our guys are not working. I mean, it happens at night when our guys have off or on Friday. They have to come in and take care of all those things. I wish the trees would fall and learn to happen during the week when they're working, but that doesn't work. The second thing is the infrastructure, and the reason it was not the sidewalk was not done from Lookout to the dam, when we put the bicycle path in, the conference center objected to that and questioned our green space responsibility. And so it took attorneys to get that straightened out. And so that money that we were going to spend on that sidewalk was spent on attorney fees. So just a little bit of history why that wasn't completed when we did the bicycle path. And I don't see any paving projects in the budget. And we get behind, it's hard to catch up. You know, we're gonna have Lookout to do. I know water will pay for some of that because that line has to be replaced. Arkansas, if you walk that way, is one pothole after another. Just like Oklahoma, you're patching your potholes. So I would really like to see some sort of paving project in the budget if it's not already, and I missed it. So the fund balance, instead of using it for the pedestrian bridge, I would rather see it used for roads paving. And the vehicle, I don't see vehicles replaced in this budget either. And I know that at one time we had a cycle so that we didn't end up having to replace 3 or 4 vehicles in 1 year. So I just would ask that you would look at that again as well. I know this is a really tough budget, but those are just my thoughts. Thanks.
I wanted to add one thing for Letta Jean about the paving projects. Paving projects might be added once we get our POW bill funds. So that.
Mary?
I know.
Come on up.
We have some saved, I think, now.
Mary Standard, 118 Shenandoah Terrace. Thank you very much for a vigorous and thoughtful discussion of our budget. Several things came to mind, some of which you may have already thought about. And I particularly want to support Commissioner or Mayor Pro Tem Blake on making sure that our water fund accurately reflects the resources used by the town so that you will know how to move forward in setting water rates in particular sense. We shouldn't have residential users subsidizing our institutional users. So I really think a good look at that is well warranted. Also, not exactly sure what's going on with the bridge, and I know you can't answer me, or if you can, but do the current bridge plans include the covered bridge portion of it? Okay, so it's down to the basics of making it safe. That's very important, and I agree with the basics of making it safe, and I like simpler the better, personally. Couple of other things, but the one that comes to mind is appreciate Commissioner Foucher's comments about the $15 increase in sanitation fees. It's sort of, I think sanitation is one of those things that I as a resident expect to be included in my taxes, not an additional add-on fee. So if you're looking to raise the money, do it through your taxes, not through a once a month $15 fee. It's a little bit like paying $40,000, $50,000 for a brand new car. And when you're signing out, you're asked to pay an extra $200 for the floor mats. It shouldn't be there, an extra fee. They're pretty high when they come in anyway. So If you need the money, you need the money, but let's be upfront about it, include it in our tax rates to all the people, is my thoughts, not as an added fee. And the third thing, or the other thing, is that looking to our general fees that we have, I do support like zoning permits, building permits. All of those fees should go up, and as Jean comment, perhaps they should go up equivalent to housing prices since the last time we raised them. And we should also make sure, you should consider, I wish you would consider, especially those who live in the ETJ, that they pay their proportionate share if they're using our services, since they're not paying city taxes, and that there should be some sort of surcharge on that as building goes on up there. And it should be enough, because as all these building materials are coming in through the gate, they're basically impacting our roads and our services and our paving. So I would pay attention to the differentials between ETJ building and things, and sanitation, things that are going on up there, as opposed to what, you get all the benefits of Montreat with fewer of the taxes that are involved. But again, thank you so very much for all of your hard work and attention to details. And I do think that the $15 fee added on might not be well received. I'd soon get a tax increase and understand that's my sanitation, that's what I pay for. That's why I choose to live in the city, not the town. And I want to thank Angie in particular for leading us through this. I remember when she was hired, and she was the first new person in the administration in a long time, and now she's the one with much of our historical background and our budget history. So thank you for that, and appreciate it.
And to follow up to your comment, ETJ pays extra for trash. They pay $300 a year extra for trash, and there's an extra higher water rate as well, currently.
Make it more.
Mary, the base bridge is supposed to be able to support a covered bridge, but the town is not looking to put a covered bridge on it.
And just my thoughts about the covered bridge, this is just me speaking, is that while there are those who might advocate for that, I think simpler is better, and a covered bridge just adds to deferred maintenance and for our children and grandchildren. So, but those are decisions up to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, or anyone else?
Jean Norris, 192 Mississippi Road. I did not realize that the sidewalk was going into this budget, and I'm delighted to hear it. There is one place when you walk from here to the Memorial Garden that there is not enough space outside the arches to walk safely, to add sidewalk. So there's a little engineering that's going to be needed there. And I'd like to suggest that we think about, could that be considered an ADA accessible sidewalk? That adds cost, but it also adds a lot of safety. On the trash bill, I mean, that's basically a trash bill. I think every place I've ever lived, I have had to pay for trash, usually to a private contractor. I don't mind paying for trash as a separate item. I think that streets and sewer and, certain kinds of repairs belong in my tax bill, the trash maybe not. But I would like to see trash costs go to cover trash costs. I don't see it as a way to build equity to wait for something else to do. But if it's paying a portion of the salaries of the people who pick it up, that's appropriate. And personally, I don't mind it.
Thanks, Jane. Anyone else?
Can I share one more thought from Savannah? And then I promise I'm done.
You don't have to promise, just be done.
Okay. So Savannah wants y'all to know that she is not opposed to the loan for the Texas Road Bridge. She just wanted you all to talk. She thinks the best plan is perhaps to borrow half and appropriate half, or some combination of that.
Okay, and then that needs to be reflected in the budget,
Okay.
okay? Anything else? No one else? Okay, public comment section is closed. Discussion on the budget.
Just getting back to the bridge, I don't necessarily have a problem with the half-half. I'd like to get a real look at a good projection, Rachel, of what our fund balance will be projected at the end of this fiscal year, to make sure, because it could be a lot of what we've got budgeted, we will in fact save. So we will be taking down the current fund balance. In effect, we would be budgeting what would have been an increase in the fund balance as a result of the fact that we didn't spend those funds this year. So we're really not taking away from our net equity, you see what I'm saying. So I think that's a good way to go. Again, if we increase, have what looked like, at least the last monthly numbers I saw year to date, we were going to have a significant increase in fund balance at the end of this fiscal year.
Yes, that was the case.
Any other discussion?
Do we have an idea of what the bridge would cost at this point? That number has been moving here and there. We wanted a prefab bridge. Has that number?
We've met with a contractor, and he's given us an estimate of the basic bridge with no aesthetic. Well, when we talk about a covered bridge, the beautification committee has talked about a covered bridge. It talked about one with stone posts, but it does not include any of those aesthetics. It is the basic bridge that would be prefab and laid in place. Our guys would do a lot of the demo work, and there would be pilings on either end that would support the bridge and any other kinds of things that might be put up aesthetically. And that's, well, about 275.
270.
Well, between 250 and 275.
Anyone else? Discussions, thoughts on the budget?
Just FYI, I just pulled up a amortization calculator, and if we borrowed 130,000 for 3 years, and I'm kind of doing this on the fly, at a rate of 6.18, we're talking about an annual principal payment of $40,000. A monthly payment of $4,000, basically, is what it is.
I have one comment. We need to, just this is an aside, not for this budget, but we need to be looking at, and I don't know how, and I know there's a lot of statutory restrictions on how we're investing our cash, our funds. You know, up until the last 5 years, you really didn't get much on your money. But people are getting 5%, 4 or 5% easy today. So we just need to, somebody needs to look at it and make sure we're getting every nickel we can get from our funds in terms of income.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back to the subject that I raised earlier, and I don't like it. But we've got a huge wage and benefits increase. We've got the 3% COLA increase of $21,200 We've got a merit increase. It could be as much as about 20,000. We've got an insurance increase of almost 30,000. Just FYI, the town of Asheville, the city of Asheville, is stretching and giving a 4.1 overall increase this year to their employees, and they're having to hit their fund balance to be able to do that. You know, what I would say is, if I could double all the employees' salary, that still wouldn't be enough to cover what they do around here. But we can't do that. It's a guns and butter kind of thing. You know, I would love to pave the roads, but is it pave the roads, or is it an increase for COLA, cost of living increase? We can't do everything. And it just seems like to put that kind of a burden on us for the future, because it's not just this year, it's every year thereafter. Because what we're doing is we are adding to the payroll and benefit base, and it just goes up from there in the future. You know, I don't know what the answer is, but it just seems like a 6% overall salary increase, plus the adjustments for pension, plus the insurance is more than this little budget of ours can afford this in 1 year.
Tom, not a correction, but there's only a 3% COLA. Then the merit is not guaranteed. It's not going to be given to everybody. It's merit. So you called it a 6%, and it's not really a 6%.
Well, that's what's in the budget.
It's in the budget. It's there.
And
that if it wanted to be given, but okay.
But I mean, we've said it, and we've heard it said 2 or 3 times, that everybody on staff is doing a great job. So given that, I'd give everybody 3% merit. You know, I believe in merit more than I believe in COLA. And you know, if we could do 6% merit and no COLA, and let the really outstanding employees be given what they deserve, that'd be great. But I just think, you know, that extra $100,000, $90,000, is just a big hit when we have so many other needs as well.
Fortunately and unfortunately, we live in an area where it's gotten to be very competitive to keep good people. And, you know, in order to do that, we've got to do something here with a small town. Police salaries in other communities are much higher than what they are here. And we've had opportunities for some of our employees to go somewhere else, and they've chosen to stay because we've always more or less assured them that we would try to take care of them. And I think the family insurance coverage and the merit increases and the COLA increases this year will possibly help do that. Now, I understand the burden that we're going to face next year and the year after and the year after that. It's constant. As long as we are restricted in the amount of revenue, and as long as there are no businesses or other tax producers in this community, it's going to be a tight budget year, I think, every year from now on, or it always has been. It's always been a struggle.
Well, what if we shared the cost of the employees on the family insurance? I mean, I've in every single situation that I've worked, well, not every, but with the exception of a couple, I've had to pay a portion of family insurance. Mm-hmm. And we could save some of it.
Yeah, I think of all what you said about the employees, it would be the family insurance if we wanted to save some there. I was trying to look to see how many people have families that they would insure. And that's a lot of money.
If our cost is $30,000, let's say it's $29,800, and shared half of that. So it would cost us 15, it would cost the employees 15, shared between all of them. That sure beats $3,000 a month that Alex reported that he was going to have to pay. You know, that would.
Rachel, I might suggest that you and Savannah talk about that and look at different portions of employee participation in the family insurance and see if that gives us some relief at all.
Okay.
Is the charge per family that you pay, the charge per person that has a family, or is it just if you have this many employees, this is what it costs?
It's per employee that has, so what I did with the quote was I took who here had a spouse and kids and had them quote specifically that.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that the employee may want to add them. You know, some might not. Some already have insurance through other places. So, you know, they may not need to, or they may want to, but that's why I figured it in, everybody who had either a
Okay.
spouse or
Right.
children.
Okay.
So that's what it's based
It's not
on.
per, just on blanket on how many
No.
employees you have? Okay.
No, mm-mm.
Well, for me, I'm very interested in being able to give this to our employees. And as far as for retention, but also it just affirms our position that we support them. Because if you look at health cost and what it costs a family to have health insurance, it's quite a bit. Also, on the idea of COLA versus merit, my profession usually was, most of it was in the school system. Well, we got a COLA, which fluctuated all over the place. As far as merit, they'd say, well, if you would like to go and be a master teacher and do this and do that, you had to do extra work for your merits. And when you're working, and which I did a lot, but I think there's a point when you're not an executive or you're not someone else who gets very significant raises. And our people are like school teachers in ways, that way. I'm very much for the family insurance.
Thank you,
And
Jane.
a good COLA.
Mason?
You know, it's really tough. As Tom said, it's just not, it's not an easy subject. I certainly would consider, if we want to implement full coverage over a 1 or 2 or 3 year period, I would think I think we need to get to full coverage. If we can't manage it in this budget, we can't manage it as we get along. I think most people out there would just soon we scrap the leaf sucking up and pay that money to our employees. I think that well regarded by all of our staff. I did the numbers, and I came up with about $45,000. Is that what the
30,
family insurance?
29.
No, the difference is
24 a month.
29,817.
I say burn the leaves. You know, but again, I'm willing to bag the leaves. I'm willing to, if we need to, again, trying to reach consensus with all the people in this, I would be willing to do a two-step sort of getting there, but it would only be that we were going to get there, because I do think we need to get there in terms of providing for them. You know, people talk about, I listen to sports radio, and everybody's screaming about whether they're paying for this quarterback. Well, that's all fine until the quarterback goes to another team. You can't function without a good quarterback. We got a great squad of folks for this little town And I just don't think, if we lose those people, we're gonna have a hard time replacing the people we've got. So that'll cost us a lot more in the long run. That's my opinion. But I understand where Tom's coming from. It's very difficult. And I'm willing to do a stepped approach to it as long as we're gonna get there for our employees.
Okay, anyone else on anything? Okay. With all that said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Commissioner Alexander moved that we adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Fouché. Any discussion, any additions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.